Robert Smith, do the right thing. Sort Gary Sykes' belt out and put it in history books that he's British champion outright at super featherweight. And I'll leave you alone, Robert Smith. Alright? Don't you forget.
Hardcores, how you doing? Big P, you know, don't you? You know. That's why you've tuned in. We're joined by Kent today. We're going to rip shit up. How you doing, Kent?
Good morning, Russell. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate.
Did you enjoy your 6 pints of Guinness?
Yeah, 7.
7 rounds.
Lost count after 7. Staggering about like an oboe.
Love it.
Every now and then you've just got to blow a bit of steam off, haven't you?
Love it. Love it.
I'm not that keen on black currant in it. I only tried it because Peter Fury's like, yeah, put black currant in it. I like black currant, but I tried it in a couple with black currant, but I'm not keen. But how are you been? You been okay?
Yes, Russell, dead on. Just been watching. I've been watching a lot of darts over the New Year's and watching a bit of the snooker. There's not much boxing on, so it's just trying to get another non-boxing fix. So I'm just been doing that really.
You've not been out jogging in that crunk top, have you?
No, I don't wear cotton t-shirts when I'm out running. They're too warm. It's too warm to wear cotton.
Yeah, you don't wear that on dates with women, do you, Ken? Hey, tell me you don't.
No.
You do, don't you? You go out with it, don't you?
Love it.
The rascal lot in it for pub. Right, a lot going on. First thing I want to cover, I want to say that we're back on Twitter. It took 26 months to sort. Camera runs it, not me. I don't even know Twitter handle. I'll send him just turn my phone on. I'll send him a voice text in a minute. So we're back on Twitter, but I won't be running it. So feel free to send as much abuse as you want. We're on Insta, we're on Facebook, but Craig and Simon run them. Cameron's going to do Twitter. Right, first thing I want to touch on, the Ben Davison situation. He's come out and he said what he said. People in the industry are saying he's having a dig at Peter Fury, Jimmy and Mark Tibbs, and Shane McGuigan. That's what people are saying in the know. The word around the campfire. Is he saying that because he's MTK, or does he genuinely believe that everybody else is lazy, they're not doing the jobs properly, and he's the only one who can train fighters? Take it away, Kent.
So you go way back and you say, you know, he said those things about fighters being lazy, but you look at those, you look at a lot of coaches, maybe with the exception of Shane McGuigan. So, and I'm not saying Shane's lazy, he's not. You know, I don't know what fighters or what trainers are doing, but you look at fighters like Joe Gallagher, you look at, you know, or sorry, trainers like likes of Joe Gallagher. There's a lot of trainers in the UK at the minute. I can't mention all of them, but they've actually had a career as an amateur coach, and they've actually served their time bringing through young fighters through the amateur system, whether it's at novice level, open class, whether it's through English class, you know, regional, international, right the whole way through in the pro ranks. So you've got trainers there who are actually putting a lot of time in, bringing these kids up and down the country and developing them from scratch. you've got a lot of good trainers out there, pro trainers who have had fighters from day one, and they brought them through. You don't have to have world-class fighters to be a good trainer. You go back in the day and you look at coaches like some Nobby Knobs and that there who looked after journeymen, and their purpose was to have their fighters fighting without getting stopped. For me, that's a good trainer. There's a lot of coaches out there who are doing a lot of stuff, behind the scenes, as I said there. And how are these trainers, lazy? I don't. On what basis of what? Just because you watch X amount of tapes of fighters and watch interviews and this and that, it doesn't make you any more qualified as a coach. I think a lot of coaches out there who have come through the amateur system and the pro system, and they've been with their fighters an awful long time, and those coaches would say, do you know what, I've actually probably made a few mistakes along the way and have maybe changed things, maybe implemented things. And I think the relationship between coach and fighter, the coach has to learn something as well. The coach learns about their craft and themselves. And Ben Davison comes across to me as that coach where he just seems to know everything. And if I was with that type of coach who's, thinks they know everything, it's not really it's not going to be someone who's going to be open to learning and trying things. So you're talking about coaches here, or having digs of coaches that have trained multiple world champions and been in the business and the sport a lot longer than him. I don't really know what he's what's he talking about, Russell?
Well, there's coaches out there, right, that have got jobs in the day, and then they go and do it for free, don't they, on the night time, right? Yeah. Ben Davison's full time, innit? Obviously, he's in the MTK, innit? Do you know what I mean? That can turn on a sixpence at any time, though. But the MTK situation, but he's in the MTK. Fighters who are signed to MTK, they're told, look, you're going to want you to train with Ben and keep it in house. They're going to do that, aren't they? They're already world champions. A lot of them, you just need that bit of motivation, a bit of fitness. You can't really be teaching world champions much, can he? And this
No,
it's Taylor. How old's Taylor? 30 odd. Fury 30 odd. Saunders were 30 odd. I noticed that in the lists of all the wins he keeps putting out, I mentioned this before and I mentioned it again. He forgets, he puts Devon Haney down as a win, doesn't he, on his posts? But yeah, he don't put the Saunders down as a loss. But he was seconds in both corners, so you can't have it both ways, can you? That always it got beat by Jack Bates and his fighter as well, didn't he? Mahmoud or whatever he's called. So look, we're not saying he ain't one for the future. He's a young lad, isn't he? But he's getting carried away with himself, isn't he? And that's why I've had to put him in weapon at week. But it's on members area this week, as will all weapons be from now on. But it's a good weapon. But no, I just think that it's out of order. If he's got a personal problem with personal trainers, come out and name them. Who are these lazy trainers, Ben? Name them. Eddie Hearn does that a lot. When he first started seeing Eddie Hearn, he used to come out with things like, my fighters are like my family. Fighters are not getting paid. Well, who's not paying these fighters, Eddie? That's what Coogan and people like Rob Tebbett should have said to him. Well, who ain't paying these fighters, Eddie? They mind saying fighters want to sign with Matchroom because they're not getting paid. Who? In my opinion, I think you were having a dig at Warren, but he never mentioned his name. Now, Ben Davison's another one. They know how to play the game, don't they? Right? He knows who he's on about, who he's saying is lazy. So, Ben, come out and name these trainers. Name them. Don't hide behind people. Name them. Name them. And another thing, Ben, if you've got a problem with Mark Tibbs, get at it with him. These here will put money up for you and Mark to have a fight in a white collar. Put money up, put your dukes up and get stuck into Mark Tibbs if you've got a problem. If not, shut your mouth. All right, and start naming people who are lazy. and they were not very good trainers and are not doing the jobs, and you've caught them all up. Name them, Ben. Name these trainers. Come on, name them. I would. I'd say I think he's shit. Or I don't think he's much cop. That's what I'd say. So I ain't got no filter. But Ben, don't be a sneaky cunt. Name them. That's all I've got to say to him anyway. He's on fucking members area. I toasted him.
To be honest, Russell, yeah, I agree with everything you said there. And, you know, in-house coaching isn't something that's new. You know, it's not an MTK thing. In-house coaching has been happening since day dot in boxing. You know, a lot of promoters have their own in-house coaches. So that's not the problem. But the problem is that he seems to be making everything about himself, you know, about the fighters' careers. You know, it's not about him. It's actually not about him. Peter Fury come on and said a great quote the other day there. My friend Chris sent me it, and Peter basically just turned around and said that the boxing coach is there to get the fighter where they need to be, and that's it. And that's it.
Peter say that on IFL?
It wasn't IFL. It was some other. Yes.
So I like them. I quite like them.
They've some good stuff. They've some good stuff with Archive Peter interviews, but that's what it's about. It's not about the trainer. It just seems to be a lot of these newer coaches seem to make everything about themselves. Firstly, they're getting paid to get the fighter where they need to be. Whether it's get them better, get them sharper, get them fitter, that's what they need to do. But you're right, Russell. You know, it's like getting a Porsche. He's inherited a Porsche in Josh Taylor. You know, there's nothing that he's going to really add to Josh Taylor's arsenal. Josh Taylor was an undisputed world champion. He's not going to, you know, radically turn him into an even better fighter. You know, Josh Taylor was a Rolls Royce as a fighter. So I am just sick of this. You know, as you say, if he has a problem with another coach, with other coaches, and if that's true, what he had said, it's none of his business anyway. It's absolutely nothing to do with him. You know, who cares what other coaches are doing and what they're saying? I think you should just get your head down, and as Peter says, get the fighter where you need to be. Stop making it about themselves.
Yeah, it's become boring. And Ben, you're becoming boring, boxer size, Ben. We go away, Ben. Go and fuck off. You're like a fucking boil that just won't go away. And he fucking keeps popping up, doesn't he, his sermons. I think he might need to be silenced. Right. Can I just point out that Nick Manners from Leeds has got immense power, and I just wanted to say that. Nick, you know what I'm on about. Right, forget me, I'm just being giddy this morning. Hatman strikes back. I don't normally listen to him because he's a hula hooper for Hearns Mob, but I thought he did a good video on 9th of January called Joshua Confused ahead of Usyk rematch on 9th of Jan. I thought he nailed it basically. So you know what can he learn at this stage of game? And we keep being told that Anthony Joshua's like learning on the job, don't we? And all this, but yeah, it's like Hatman said, pinching a bit of his content here, but he words things a bit better than me. And I've probably covered this loads of times, but you know, there's something I've always thought about. Joshua's like a decorated veteran now, isn't he, at amateur level and professional level. We know what his record is, don't we? Why are we hearing about learning on job and he's only done this and blah blah blah? Look, they've kept him out of harm's way too long, haven't they? And that's why he got found out. He knew he was in a lot of trouble before the fight, you know. He went to the Chisora fight, didn't he? And that for me tells me that he was worried. What do you think?
Yeah, Russell, you spoke about it last night with Max, and you said that, you know, it seemed very strange. The whole thing seemed strange. He came out to the Clark Ferrach Rocky music, and he seemed to be hugging and being all friendly and all nice to people on the way to the ring. He seemed humbled. He
He's
seemed
not
like he
like that
knew.
in real life, mate, you know.
No, he
He's quite
seemed like
sullen. He's quite sullen, mate. Trust me. And
he's
people are buying into this, you know, this stay humble, this, you know, this humble guy and all that. Look, mate, he's not like that in real life, mate. Trust me, he's very sullen. But you know,
he,
each to their own, innit? Personally, I think he's a shit house. He's not. His CV should be better than what it is. So, and I think he's led fans a merry dance. He didn't fight Wilder. He was supposed to fight him after Vladimir. They flew Wilder in, didn't they, first class? Paid him a fortune to be a pundit on Sky and put him in Hilton International in a suite. They did all that, and Eddie Hearn said he was definitely the next. That was 5 years ago. This April.
he
He's nowhere
seemed
near Wilder.
he seemed humble before he was getting in the ring, like he knew he was going to get flogged. But you go back to that whole Wilder thing when they flew Wilder in to commentate, and Tony Bellew at the time
Oh,
was going through a bit of a spat with Wilder on Twitter, and the first thing he said, I watched this interview, and the first thing he said was when he seen Wilder, he was like, "No way, I am not having any part of him. He's too big, too strong. There's no chance." And
but he'll
I
back his
think,
mate Derek Chisora to fight him, won't he?
oh
To
yeah,
get a
yeah,
payday.
we'll get to that.
But coward
And
Tony won't fight him, will you, Tony, you coward? Same as you won't go in that tournament, would you, at WBSS?
and I think he fed that back to Hearn that there's no way. And at that time, Russell, you know, that we had this whole thing where Eddie Hearn was trying to negotiate with Lou DiBella and Shelley Finkel, and he came off with this whole Shelley Winkle thing and all, and started humiliating him and turned it into, he was kind of trolling him. And there's no way that fight was ever going to get made with that relationship. And he was turning around and saying that, yeah, we need proof of funds, and there was proof. There was proof of funds produced,
Yeah.
and they went quiet. And
Didn't want
you
it,
know, you
mate.
look back. What's that?
They didn't want it. Same as Dylan
Didn't
White
want
don't
it.
want Fury.
It didn't want it. So a year before that, Joshua struggled through the Dominic Brazil fight, and Wilder just comes out and smoked him in less than a round. So that said it all. That said it all about who would have wanted that fight. You know, there's no way that AJ would have wanted that fight, and I think you're right. You know, even if he still fights Wilder down the road, I still think Wilder smokes him.
Yeah, I do. What about the training team situation? The word around the local gyms and everything around here, and people in general I speak to, they're saying that McCracken's gone. They're done. That's the word.
It's I don't know what to say about it, and I'll go back to Lennox Lewis when Lennox Lewis lost it to Oliver McCall, and they fired Pepe Carrera, and they brought in Emmanuel Stewart, and it didn't take one fight for Lennox Lewis to evolve into the latter day Lennox Lewis in his career. It took him 4 years to get a rematch win against McCall, and there was hard fights there. You know, you had that really hard fight against Ray Mercer that I thought he lost. So
I did.
what are they?
I did.
I did, and you look at that, and you look at Emmanuel Stewart. So they brought Emmanuel Stewart in, and it took multiple performances before they seen. I think the first inkling of that new and improved Lennox Lewis was Galata. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, Lennox Lewis was levels above Lennox Lewis at that stage.
Lennox
But it took
Lewis are levels above Lennox Lewis.
Lennox Lewis is above levels of Joshua.
Sorry, yeah.
You know, he's above levels. So you look at Joshua after Usyk, and you look at Lennox Lewis after McCall. Even Lewis, way levels above. It took him 4 years to see any improvements with a new coach. So you've got AJ now, who, whatever happens now with McCracken, he is not going to evolve into that fighter that he needs to be to beat Usyk in 12 weeks. It's impossible. It's absolutely absurd. There's no chance of it. I don't know, you know, he's got, you know, the Under Armour tracksuit brigade around him. He's got all these advisors. He's got all these managers. He's got all these sponsorship deals. But there is actually nobody there in that camp that actually knows anything about boxing.
Yeah, everybody's an expert, aren't they? And look how far he got by being guided by McCracken. But we can't have it both ways. I want to see him fight Wilder and Fury. I'm not really interested in Dylan White. We've seen that twice, amateurs and pro. It's a dog with fleas.
No,
I mean, Dylan White don't want to take a challenge on.
I think Hatman was right in what he had said, and we've kind of touched on it. You look at the last 2 months, AJ has been flying around the world, posting snips up, posting clips up, working with that coach, training with that coach, doing that coach. He even had Floyd Mayweather standing behind him with his arms folded with ripped jeans, hitting the punch bag. You know what? That is absolute nonsense. You know, that just makes the fighter even more confused. He's hearing different things from different coaches again, and how to win this fight. And you look back on the whole Usyk fight as well. He had Joby Clayton in there telling him he was doing brilliant after, you know, just fencing about the ring, not even doing anything. You had Engel Hernandez, who I don't know what style of boxing he works off, and you had Rob McCracken. You know, there was 3 other voices, and he's going around more. It's just making the job even harder, and I don't know what he's going to do. I think, you know, when is the rematch? Where is the rematch going to be?
Is it even going to happen, mate? I mean, they were feeling that. Listen, there's doubts there because they were talking step aside. So whenever there's doubts there, I'm not on board. So if it even happens, mate, trust me, if.
Does it happen right away? Does it have to happen? As you know, we're talking about a rematch clause here, right? So does a rematch clause mean that it's an automatic rematch, or does the rematch clause mean that they have got options on Usyk and they're going to do it in 2 or 3 fights down the line? I don't know. I would strongly suspect that it's not going to happen immediately, and they're going to turn around and say, oh, Lennox Lewis didn't have an immediate rematch. Lennox Lewis waited 4 years and had 4 or 5 fights before that. So I don't think it's going to happen right away, Russell.
No. All right. Spencer Fearon, aka Malcolm X. He's apparently, I haven't read this, but I've been told that he's come out and said Robert Garcia can't train black fighters because he's a Mexican. Now, if we said anything like that, we'd be hell on, wouldn't there? I'd be getting emails off YouTube. You know? So I don't know why he does things like that. This is why he annoys me so much. Spencer Fearon, you annoy me. Coming out with stuff like that, it annoys me. I don't know. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, Russell. No.
I think he's referring to Garcia. If I've got this wrong, I've got it wrong. I'll take it back and apologise, but I don't think I have. I think he's referring to Joshua doing pad work. Is he with Robert Garcia?
I think there was something that listen. He's been around the whole of America training with coaches.
Yeah.
You know,
So Spencer, you always let your send down after that good little chat you had on IFL the other day saying that Dylan White should call Fury's bluff. I was like, God, he's actually said something I agree with. And then somebody said to me that he said this. Unbelievable. He always lets his send down. All right then. Steve Wellings made a good point. I watched yesterday morning the boxing asylum thing, and it's a guy that I always was a big fan of when he was coming through. Joan Guzman, do you remember him?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so well said Wellings, but I would team Guzman. Me at one point, I was like, wow, and what happened to him? He's fat as a pig Michelin man, isn't he?
Oh,
You know
it's
what I mean?
just you know, at that time, you know, boxing has changed so much in the last couple of years. The dynamic of boxing is kind of like evolving every day. You know, it's changing so much. You look at the fighters that they were around and at that time, and you look
No,
at
I think I've
boxing.
just got that into bin backwards. I need to check. Oh, what a shot!
I'll try and do it again. You have to do
Sorry,
it
mate.
again.
Go on, put it OCD going on there. Yeah, go on, Ken. Sorry.
You have to do it again, Russell.
Oh, no, I'll never do it. I'll never pull it off. It's like doing a wheelie shot at snooker. You know, one that's a one every 100 shots. You try it another 100 times and never do it. Be there all day frustrated. But you get it first time. No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, go on. You were saying.
You know, the dynamic of boxing and coaches and trainers and personalities and fighters, even back, you know, people coming through, and the boxing dynamics changed an awful lot. You know, it just seems to be that there's a new kind of crop coming through. It's like you said last night on, like I would like follow a lot of boxing scene stuff. I've been on their website for years, and I was really annoyed that they actually featured a guy who hasn't fought a boxer yet as knockout of the year. I was mortified at that. I found it really, really out of taste, to be quite honest.
Yeah. 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 All right. Just a quick one here. You know, going back to the Ben Davison thing. I know he's only a young lad, and he looks about 12-year-old. But if you were going into a tough fight, Clinton Woods, he's a trainer. Would you want Clinton in your corner or Ben Davison?
I would want somebody in my corner that has had that, you know, he's going around saying that, yes, I'm undefeated. You know, I've got all these undefeated wins and I've got all these undefeated fighters.
Saunders and Fury left him though, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah, and that just says to me, you know, you haven't come through that adversity yet, you know, as a coach. So how are you going to react when that happens? You know, I'm sure, you know, there's Mark Tibbs has lost fights with fighters. Shane McGuigan has lost fights with fighters. Joe Gallagher has lost, you know, fights with his fighters. And that process is experience. They've gained that experience. They know how to react when their fighter is going through a firefight. So I would want the coach that's actually been through that and experienced that to help get me through.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody's told me this morning. BT Sport, Davison are apparently doing a takeover over the sport channel. $800 million. What do you think to that?
We've seen it coming. We have seen it coming. We have seen the last 6 months. Frank Warren now is in a good position with fighters, with fighters in positions, and his stable looks pretty solid. But we also look at the cards that they've been putting on for last year, you know, pandemic this, pandemic that they have been shocking. And it just shows to me that there wasn't quite that investment from BT to Queensbury. So
Yeah.
we go back and we look now, and it depends on the contract. You know, when you're in employment and someone else buys out your contract, there will be a thing there. It's you two pay over in you know, they have to accept their terms and conditions. So it's not like the zone are going to come in and say, right, Frank, out this, that. They can't do that. It's in law that they two pay over for, I think it's, I don't know if it's 1 year or 2 years. So what they're going to have to do is they're going to probably have to buy Frank out of his contract, because they have bought, that they have to adhere to his terms and conditions. So it's going to be interesting. Where do you see Frank being? You know, where do you see that, you know, there can't be room in the market for the Zone, Sky, and Box Nation again? I don't think people would pay for all those platforms.
If Frank's got any sense, he'll let him buy him out his contract, right? You know, for dates he's got left, which is, it goes on all the time. When Dennis had a deal with Satanta, Warren didn't have any dates. Dennis had dates. Dennis sold his dates to Warren, so it goes on. But I don't see Warren just letting people buy him off slot, buy his slots. He's not that type of guy. He's too hard nosed. He's a hard businessman, isn't he? And if you so much as look at him wrong way, you get a legal letter or a phone call. Trust me. But what I do see happening is them ended up in court with legal problems. Davison and Warren and BT and all that. I see writs being issued and this and that, blah, blah, blah. That's what I see. And I see problems down the line. Why they can't just Frank and Eddie work together, I don't know, because it's the fans that are missing out. They've hardly done any work in 11, 12 years. They've hardly done anything between them. 7 fights, it's 6 or 7 fights. That's a joke. It's not even one fight a year, is it? It's a fight every 2 years or something. It's embarrassing. We fight every 21 months. What about the other 20 months? If they could have done one a month, we could have had like nearly 100 fights. It's becoming boring. And what they don't understand, Warren and Hearn and Sky have grasped this, that the hatred's that bad, that it's affected everything. It's affected everything for years. It is really, really, Ken, that bad. And Sky thought, you know what, we need to get rid of Hearn because maybe he's as bad as the other one. But I think Hearn's the one that's not going to, he always said, I'm not going to give him a leg up, we don't need to, but because Hearn's earning plenty, there's no money worries and all that. But what about the fans that are switching off? When you see an Eddie Hearn on the IFL, and he's doing an interview, that one he's done yesterday, you've seen it, haven't you, 51 minutes. After 2 hours, right, he's on 7,000. I can get Mickey Fio up to 2,000 views on my channel after 2 hours. So is Eddie Hearn 3.5 times an IFL bigger than Porky's Corner? Now the load's bigger than that. But Eddie's not doing the numbers he used to do, is he? Do you know why? Because people are sick of his bullshit, aren't they? We have statistics here that we look at all the time. We say, look at that there now. But what's happening to him? Because he's put his son in a situation where he's talking about fights happening and he's done deals and this. Look, paying lip service to fans. The fans are switching off. The older generation are dealing, and the new generation, they're not interested. He's in a bit of a dilemma, so he's gone with money with Davison, and it might not last. If it does last, he'll be quids in. If he don't, he'll still be quids in. He'll get out. He'll get out anyway when Joshua's gone, because there isn't another Joshua's to come in.
No.
That's how I look at it anyway. But he's at fault, and Warren's just as bad. Just as bad. But it looks to me like Warren's tried to make fights with him. And because he's obviously he's on back foot, and he's the number 2, isn't he? And Hearn kicked sand in his face, and after saying, yeah, we're going to have a meeting, all that. Forget all this meeting at Frederick's restaurant in Islington and all that. Do it on fucking Zoom, pariahs. Let's get it over and done with. Or just pull your dicks out and stand next to each other and see who's got biggest. For fuck's sake. You know what I mean? My money would be on Frank anyway. He's not known as Big Frank for now. But now, mate, honestly.
You give me just one example. You give me one example of where you haven't walked forward and outworked someone. You just give me one fight where you haven't done that. Not one.
I've shown a range of different styles.
You've shown one style.
Commonwealth, British, European,
and you've done it all with one style. Fair play to you. Fair play to you. You've done it all with one style. You've got to look at where you've fought for every single title that's been vacant. You've never defeated a champion. Never. Never defeated the champion.
I defeated you.
Never did. I wasn't a champion. I was a 16 fight novice. It wasn't hard to beat me. Over Mackenzie didn't beat me. Over Mackenzie didn't beat me too.
I'm Peter Fury, and don't forget to subscribe to Porky's Corner, because I've been a helmet of the month and you need to listen to me. Yeah? So follow him, yeah? And get the fella some followers up, for Christ's sake. He wears his heart on his sleeve, he's a good man, Russ. So follow Porky's Corner, he says it as it is, and you know, I appreciate the helmet of the month, Russ. No problem.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, mate.
I think that whole thing.
Sick of them.
I think that whole thing at the time was all about clickbait, and it was all about views, and none of the, I think Frank called his bluff on it, and I think he was just looking to see what the response. He knew fine rightly that there was never going to be a lunch meeting or a business meeting or whatever you want to call it. So I think what Eddie said that time, that we're not giving them a leg over, was
Leg up, he said.
Yeah, leg over, leg up. I don't know, but he it hurt boxing. It wasn't in the interest of the fans. That just showed to me that it was that narcissistic, egotistic view on boxing, and you know, it wasn't, you know, if they did meet up and they did put on stuff, it would be for the benefit of the fans. They're the people that keep the sport running.
Fans.
Yeah,
when I said you never cared about boxing fans. You saw
exactly
how much them shows were in his garden, didn't you? Jeez.
500 quid, and what was it, £10 for
12 quid for a slice of pizza.
Slice of pizza. But you go back in that, and
it's only 12 quid. It's like price of a slice of a pizza. For fans, Ken.
What's
okay.
what have they done for the fans? You're right. You know, people now are turning off. I don't want to watch Eddie Hearn for an hour. I seen the time I would have watched the Monday sermon with Coogan and Eddie, and I don't want to watch that crap anymore, because
he doesn't do 500,000 like he used to now, does he? He's struggling to do views.
Definitely not. And you know, he was the one that turned around and said that Joshua and Fury had been signed and had been made. When's it happening?
Fury was shouting his mouth off though as well, saying it's a done deal, wasn't he? Thank you, Daniel Kinnan, and all. Thank you for what? For keeping them apart. That was 2 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah, we're a done deal too. Load of shit talkers. And it was another ulcer. Right. Obviously, you saw my video a couple of weeks ago. I said that Warrington's going to fight in March with Martinez.
Yep.
Is that a good fight for Warrington? Well, you bet it is. He's beat him before. He's just coming off a draw that he was looking for a way out, and the one before he got flogged by the same kid. So Josh Warrington's had a touch there, in my opinion. I've been told on the card, I've got Maxi Hughes and good old Ebony Bridges, elite pound for pound fighter, Ebony Bridges. I don't know where they're going with that one, the zone, the Ebony Bridges one, but it's got a bit boring now, hasn't it? I think 15 minutes is up in it.
Yeah, it's just about that Australian market. That's all it is. You know, they were bringing her over, and she was getting fights at the time when Natasha Jonas was with Matchroom. You know, she was getting fights ahead of Natasha Jonas, and I thought that last fight she lost quite convincingly to that girl that came over, the journey woman. I thought she lost that.
Ken, this is how I look at it. I don't want to see scrubbers on my TV fighting with fucking fake tits. I don't want to see it. It brings the sport into disrepute, in my opinion. Scrubbers, that's what it is. So that people tune in because they say she's got a nice arse or whatever. At these weigh-ins and all that, it's become like a circus.
Boring. It's like, do you remember the Dave Allen thing where he put the socks down his pants the first time?
Well, his 15 minutes is up, isn't it? He's talking like Scooby-Doo.
Then he done it again, and I'm just, Ebony Bridges is like the female Dave Allen. I'm bored of it. I didn't click on the first time, and you know, it's not like, yeah, I thought she was funny and this and that. No, I didn't. I wasn't interested in any stage, but it just looks to me that Eddie's just trying to set something up. You know, he signed that heavyweight Dempsey McKean. He signed McKenna. He signed him, and you know, he's got Joseph Parker. He's trying to get George Kambosos, so he's trying to get something going in Australia. But no, I have no interest in her whatsoever. She's not even from the UK. She a fan base. You know, she runs around with that Leeds top and that there, and I don't care. But
Emily Bridges all of a sudden's a Leeds fan. That's because she's going to be fighting in Leeds. She'll be wearing a Leeds United kit, won't she, at Wayne and all. Look, this format now, let's pal certain YouTubers up and let's give it the old football top on it. It's a fucking tired old format. Fans are turning off. Can't they think of something a bit original now?
Do you remember, Russell, when Nigel Benn, before he fought Sugar Boy Malinga,
came out in a Newcastle top?
Yeah,
I remember it. Yeah, and he lost in there as well. Well, let me tell you this: when Nigel Benn did that, he went down in my estimation. Do you know why, mate? Because he's never been to a Newcastle United game in his life. Everybody bought into it because these people, they know how to play the game. Look at Conor Benn. Playing the game, mate. But it's the fans that lose out. We keep hearing they're going to do this, but they're not. They're doing opposite. They're paying lip service, right, to get a bit of fame, a few views, and get the sends up the ladder for a few quid. I understand it, but I don't respect the fucking hustle. You know, Terry annoys me when he keeps saying, I respect the hustle. I don't fucking respect the hustle because it's boxing fans that are getting sand kicked in the face. So no, I don't respect it, mate. Ebony Bridges going to put a Leeds United top on. I've never been to a fucking Leeds game in their life. Do me a favour, it's an insult to proper Leeds United fans. Fucking hell. Anyway, go on, sorry.
You said that in your video a couple of weeks back, and it just made business sense for that fight. It makes business sense. And
yeah, I said that. What did we say? Galahad's going to get pushed out now, we said, didn't we?
Yeah.
Right, let me just read this out, Kent. At Porky's News next to the corner. So this shows you what I get to know now. At Porky's News Desk. So we're on Twitter. I won't be tweeting now. I'm told I'm not allowed because I used to be addicted to it and I used to rinse people daily. But now people say, "No, you're on Twitter, you're a troll." Well, now I do it in here so you can see my face on YouTube. But yeah, I see where you're coming from with that, Kent, the Ebony Bridges thing. I don't want to see it. Like I said, she's behaving like a scrubber, right? In public and in interviews, like a scrubber. And on Insta and all that, I don't want to see it. It's slaggy behaviour. Should be on a street corner. That's my opinion. If you don't like it, don't come and see me because I don't want to catch now. Right. Kell Brooks done an interview saying he's turning up for Amir Khan fight with broken hands if he has to. Do you know what? I genuinely believe that because they just want the payday, don't they?
Injured. He's injured. That's the mistake. Well, why would you say that? You know, that's the excuse already. You know, when a fighter comes on and says, you know what, I'm going to turn up whether I'm injured or not. That's what he said. That, seriously, that could be the excuse. If he gets beat in that fight, he'll turn around and say, yeah, I broke my hand or I was injured. Like, is that the thing that you want to say to sell that fight, Russell?
No, they're more or less saying, I just want to get this last payday. And he'll be, listen, the sweat will be pouring off Kell Brook's stepdad, Terry. Terry, it's pouring off you, innit, that sweat. Wondering if you're going to get one more bite of the cherry. This is what we're up against here. Kell Brook's being pimped. There's Pimping Curly on YouTube, and there's Pimping Kell Brook. He's being pimped. He's a shot fighter. Him and Amir Khan are shot fighters like Chisora. They keep coming back, don't they? Recycling themselves, reinventing themselves. But in the cold, hard light of day, they are shot fighters. And they want boxing fans to keep stumping up. People are not doing it. They're going on free streams and getting them fire sticks and all that. People have had enough. Our legs have been pissed up too much. What do you think, Ken?
Well, I think you're right. I think Amir Khan's been shot for 10 years. So he has. I think Kell Brook has been shot for, you know, before the Triple G fight, he took the Triple G fight, which was fair play for taking him. I don't think he should have been allowed to take that fight. The very fact that the IBF declined to sanction it. Then the next fight.
11 years now, isn't it? Since Khan beat Zeb Judah. That's his last world title win, isn't it? 2011.
Yeah.
Zeb Judah. So Amir Khan's not done out for 11 years. He's picked up massive paydays since then because he's a global name, isn't he? Kell Brook, it's a long time since Errol Spence put him to Kip, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
He's done now, has he? And that was years ago, wasn't it? So why are we buying into this? We're going to watch it because we've invested that much time in it over years. But Kell, don't start coming out saying, listen, I'll be turning up to fight Khan, baby. We brought an hands, gave some chocolate brownies. Listen, chocolate brownies are soft. Why would you say you've got a punch like a chocolate brownie? I don't get that, do you? You say you've got hands of stone, wouldn't you, or something like that, wouldn't you? Or steel hammer. Looking chocolate brownie.
Don't know what he's talking about, to be honest. It was a shocking thing to say before a fight. It just tells me that either he's injured or he is carrying an injury of some sort, and that's going to be the excuse if he loses. But you're right, you know, we have heard the same story over and over and over again from Dominic Ingle. It's been, like, I'm going to take him up the weight. We're going to take him up the weight. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. He's been dying at making the weight, making the weight all. I'm like, if he's dying at that weight and he's struggling at that weight, why are you keep bringing him back?
What did Eddie Hearn say when they were fighting Golovkin? Well, Kell's really like a super middleweight as far as Carl Frost. So if he's a super middleweight, that's 168. He walks around at 200 pound, Kell Brook. Everybody knows that 200 pound plus. Forward, what is it? 7 year? It was 6, 7 year. He's fighting at 149. So, and that's 19 pound less than super middle. Even though he fought Golovkin at middle, Eddie was saying he's a beast. He's really a super middle. Well, he's fighting at 149. I know it's not to do with Eddie Hearn, but all these people around Kell Brook need to go and have a look at yourselves and look in the mirror and say, should I be involved with Kell Brook here? Because when they were getting knocked about by Crawford and that people saying they wanted him to retire, but now there's another payday for him and for them to be relevant and that. Oh, Kell's a beast, and you've got Kell running around saying, I'm eating steak in the morning. That still ain't going to protect your face, is it? When Amir Khan starts peppering you with them fast combinations, it's bullshit, mate. I'm fed up of it. We're being paid lip service, and for him to come out and say, I'm going to fight Amir Khan if I have to turn up with broken hands, that's desperation. What sort of man would say fighting in a big magnitude of a fight like that with broken hands? Desperate men.
You know, the fact that they have to go to Fuerteventura and train in extreme heat, you know, that says
You're telling me
all.
the training over there, come on. All that lot over there, they might be doing a bit of training, but there'll be a lot of other stuff going on, won't there?
You know,
fucking do me a favour. What about Ingle Jim up here? Got up for us. Just get up there. Oh, fucking training, Campton.
But it's just it was kind of, for me, seeing that interview, it was kind of like, what's going on here? I don't think I'll buy it now. I don't think I was gonna get it, you know, because
should we boycott it, Ken? Should we boycott it and listen on Bunce's radio?
Do you know
Live,
what?
live.
See, sometimes it's actually more exciting. It adds a different feel to it. You know, when you do listen to it on the radio, it's a different. It just creates a different spectacle. But I don't think I'll get it now, because if he's saying that, you're going to watch a fighter going to nerve with a possible injury. I want to see, if I pay for something, I want to see the best product that I can get, not two shot fighters with one of them carrying an injury. No chance.
Yeah. Okay. Crawford, apparently, I don't know if this is true, somebody's told me. Crawford apparently suing Bob Arum over a racial slur or something, or something to do with racialness, or I don't know, I spoke twice about racialness. Now it's snowflake generation, isn't it, I suppose, but have you heard on that?
Seen it last night that it was
Oh,
shared.
it's true then, yeah, it's true then, yeah.
It was shared, something over $10 million on something.
So is he saying because he's not getting his own way, it's racist, that Crawford, yeah?
Something, I just seen the highlight. I don't know, but you know, he was with Bob Arum for all them years, and now that his contract has run out, this has come up.
Well, he doesn't do a ticket, does he? He's a boring cunt outside of boxing. He doesn't do a ticket. His style's not most exciting. It's for purists like us, isn't it? So I see where they're coming from. But does anybody actually think that Bob Arum gives a solitary fuck about anybody saying he's a racist? Do you think Bob Arum gives a fuck?
Bob Arum's worked with
yeah, they'll wheel Bob Arum out, wait with Aglerans and
he's
and
worked
all them people, they'll say, won't he? But well, I'm not even interested if he is or not. Just put fights on, Bob.
He's worked with fighters from different cultures, so I don't know what the slur or what was said, but I don't know. It seems to be he wasn't doing that a couple of years ago. He wasn't saying stuff like that a couple of years ago when he was on
out the back of him.
You know, so I don't know. I can't say. You know, if you say something, you say I don't know. It's just. I don't know. I don't know what to say, to be honest.
Yeah. We're saying that Tony Yoka's been offered Ergovic fight. And if you
quite honest,
pardon?
To be quite honest, why is everyone terrified of Filip Hrgovic? Why? What is that? You know, there is a lot of sparring stories about him with Wilder and David Hay, but what have you seen in any of his fights that actually terrifies you?
I haven't seen jack shit, mate, but I now call him Michael Myers because everybody, as soon as you mention his name, all you see are people filling the nappies.
I don't like his last fight. He was so underwhelming. It's like I would be like, what? Why? What is the big thing with Hrgovic? What is it? I don't see. You know, there's low reward and maximum risk.
Yeah.
But is there? You know, who's the best name on his record? Russell? Who's he beat?
Scooby-Doo.
I don't see it. And you know, even last week when Luis Ortiz apparently ducked him, Joseph Parker's apparently ducked him, but last week when they ducked those fights, apparently Zhang has actually called him out, and he wants to fight him. Zhang.
What about Martin McCauley? Is he fighting him? Or is he fighting?
Martin Broccoli is fighting Tony Yoka.
Tony Yoka, he's fighting Yoka, isn't it? But if Yoka gets in ring with McCauley and knocks him out, he could fight Ergovic next, couldn't he?
Well, it's all down to the rankings. I see that Yoka has actually climbed two of the sanctioning bodies without fighting. So there's something there's getting him in the position. Just with Yoka, you know, Yoka has to build that American audience and has to build that platform to get some form of notoriety before he gets those fights. So I think the Broccoli fight is a brilliant fight. I was really looking forward to it, but with all the COVID restrictions and around Europe and stuff, it has been put back. But that's actually a really good fight, Russell.
Yeah. What would you say annoys you the most in the sport of boxing across the board?
Oh, flip me, Russell. That's an impossible. That's like asking you.
1 of 50 people.
That's like asking you who your favorite fighter is, because you have always multiple fighters that you.
No, I'll say Crotch.
Boxing now for me, I would say my favorite fighter is Roberto Duran. I've said this multiple times, but there's phases that go through where I'll say Hagler, then there's phases where I'll turn around and say Hearns, then I'll, you know, back and forward. But going back to your question, boxing now, it has just got to be, there's so many things that annoys me now about boxing. It's like, do I want to watch boxing anymore? Like, I've never, the years that I've been watching boxing, I've never seen as many annoying people. I could name you 20. I could name you 20 people, to be honest. I couldn't. And I don't want to discriminate against the other 19 people that I find annoying. I find them all equally as annoying as each other. It's just becoming a kind of a cesspit of a sport at the minute, with people thinking they're above the sport when it's about the fighters. I'm not talking about boxers. You know, in the 20 people that I said there, I don't think one of them is a fighter. I think, you know, you've got certain trainers, you've got TV people,
managers, trainers, managers. Let's name a few. Ben Davison thinks it's about him more than his fighters. Sam Jones does. I keep seeing these people doing interview after interview after interview, and it's becoming boring. I see that Dean White and Spencer Fearon doing interview after interview after interview. They're not fighters. They're not ring, are they? So what they're chatting for all the time? I don't get it. But maybe maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe they're in like so much of a bubble that that's how it's supposed to be. Maybe I've got it wrong. If I have, I apologize. But come on, let's have some fights. What fights are we excited about, Ken, are coming up? Tell me two.
The only fight that I was looking forward to this year was Callum Johnson against Joe Smith Jr. That's the only fight from me that actually got me excited about getting up in the morning, paying for it on pay-per-view and watching it. That was the only fight that made me interested on the fights that are coming
Johnson
up.
Smith.
That was the only fight. And now obviously with COVID, it has been obviously can't fight, but that was the only fight that actually got me interested.
Okay. Years ago, there were a rule with Boxing Board of Control that if you lost 5 fights on trot, you had to be hauled up in front of the board, yeah? Now, I've just been looking at BoxRec this morning. It's hard to comment on fights if they're on your friends' shows, but I'm going to do it anyway. Scott Williams is 0-21. He's fighting on Josh Wales' debut show. Who's licensing this guy? 0-21. Now, what's going on here? If you worked at a body shop and you resprayed 21 cars and there were 21 complaints from customers, you'd be down the road, wouldn't you? You'd have been down the road after 1 or 2. We're not 21, so why do we have to put up with that? Who's licensing these people? And what happens if these people get hurt? You know, if this kid got, I mean, how many losses does Scott Williams have to have before they say, do you know what, mate, turn it in?
Shocking.
I'm curious.
I'd see how
I'm going to give Josh Whale a pass because it's his first show. But looking at his show, it's abysmal, but it's not on TV. It's not any worse than what Dennis has been putting on, and this is on Fight Zone. But there's not much to choose from, is there now? Products watered down. 20 years ago, nobody would have gone to that show. They would have panned it.
No chance.
But now, because there's no about, I'm to make most of a bad job, but I know his dad personally and Josh and his brother Dempsey. They'll have probably struggled to get that show on because there ain't no about there, but it looks abysmal on paper. It looks abysmal. And there's other shows like that that are just as worse. So is the product that watered down now that everybody's following suit? Or are we going to have somebody put a barnstormer on and say, this is how we do it? Is that what we're going to have? Because that's what we need.
What used to happen in the non-TV cards, if you want to call it small hall or whatever, those fights, those cards were built up on guys that hadn't been signed to TV, guys that maybe sold some tickets, and against guys that sold tickets well to get people in. There were 50, 60, 40 style, you know, fights down the card because it needed, you know, it needed people in. You needed people actually wanting to go and watch competitive fights. And now that's not even happening on that circuit. Now, what I'm going to touch on, and I'm going to touch on something, apparently now, Russell, there is a massive backlog in the British Boxing Board of Control in trying to license fighters. Am I correct?
Yeah. Max has got to go. He's been put back because there's a backlog, yeah.
Okay, right. So you've got that. But he turned around and said, Smith turned around and said 2 weeks ago on TalkSport that now they don't have the fighters, enough fighters to box on cards.
Well, why is there a backlog then for licenses?
So what are they doing? What are they doing?
Why have they shut boxing down for this month, but yet football's not shut down? What do they know that we don't know?
You know, why was the darts allowed, you know, to happen in Alexander Palace and in an arena on Sky Television? You know, they turned around and said that there was more fights happening in November and December that they ever had, when that was the start of that new strain, Overcron or whatever it is. But it was all right to put the cards on then during the pandemic, but in January, January's a quiet month anyway, so we'll not put any boxing on. I don't want to hear that. I think that is absolutely disgraceful. I think that I want to, you know, if you were a promoter and you were paying your sanction fees and your license fees to be a promoter every year, and you were, you know, there was 4 weeks taken off that you weren't allowed to promote, you would want that money put back. You would want some form of reprisal from them for them restricting your earnings, or the fee for the month, or even give the promoters, you know, even give promoters that don't have a TV deal, a quarterly like pass, you know, like a quarter of the year, whatever taken off their license fee.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's nothing. You know, they're going about talking about that fights had been cancelled because of COVID. What cards had been cancelled because of COVID, Russell?
Well, Dennis Hobson's card, they said, were cancelled, didn't they? He plugged in his Saturday afternoon on day of fight. They were going on about that, but it was pulled because they didn't do tickets. COVID was just an excuse. So
Did they not
you
use
can pay
the
lip
weather?
service, can't they? Board can pay lip service to us. But
Was the weather the excuse at the time?
what?
The bad weather and the snow and that there?
In snow, the fighters were already there, mate. I don't know what load of shit they come out with. Dennis, if I'm talking shit, come on here. Hard hitting channel like mine, Dennis. If I'm talking shit, Dennis, come on here. We're only talking about one kid coming from Scotland anyway, won't we? Well, pull him off and let other 6 fights go on. Oh, you put shows on when I was there with 3 fighters. So, look, it's a fucking excuse, this COVID. That's all it is. It's an excuse. That's all it is. People trying to use it to manipulate it. I mean, COVID's probably the worst thing that could happen to boxing because it's already fucking crooked as it is. Let's finish off on Terry Harper moving up her weight, knocking back a WBC title shot, a rematch of a belt that her manager said it's the best belt in boxing, and he's got a picture of him with belt, women's belt on his social media. It's like that on profile with belt, proud as punch. This is the best belt in boxing. His fighter gets put into orbit, and they've been nowhere near for rematch. They've moved up her weight, but yeah, she couldn't punch at that weight and couldn't hold the shot at that weight. So she's now moving up her weight. Where who's the champion at lightweight? Is it Katie Taylor?
Yep.
So Katie Taylor's got all the marbles at that weight. So surely not going to put Terry Harper in with Katie Taylor. Surely to God they're not going to do that. Please. Because that would be a 2-round demolition job, wouldn't it? Hey. Oh, God.
I think the whole Katie Taylor thing at the minute, her last performance wasn't great. It was a terrible fight.
So all of a sudden Terry Harper's seen chinks in her armour. Fuck out of here, man. Come on, Ken. We're boxing people, aren't we? Hang on a minute. We'll just turn this off. Yeah, go on, mate. You were saying.
To be honest with you, I think there's no way, you know, if they turned around and they put Terry Harper back in against Baumgardner, and she done the exact same again, we would be turning around and saying, you know what? That should never have happened. They should never put her in there.
No, you know what I'd be saying? At least she went back to try and win a title after all that chit-chat from a manager who runs her social media, because she hadn't said a lot of them things out there. He's dug her in an hole. And what they've done like they did with Jonas' fight. She had some fist in that fight, didn't like it. Not wrong with that, but you're in the wrong game if you don't like getting punched. Didn't like having fist off Jonas. Didn't have the rematch, did they? What happened to... It's a draw and we want to see a clear winner. We had a WBC world title fight between 2 Brits, fighting here, and it's a draw and they can't get it again. Fucking cowards, man. Off with their heads. And now we've got this Baumgardner, who Eddie Hearn's signed, by the way. She's come over, knocked her out. Well, you've got a rematch clause. Why sign a rematch clause and now say you're moving up in weight? There were no red flags from check weights, were there? Right?
No.
So why was there a problem with weight? I think it's just, I know they're in it's catch-22. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't, but we're talking about a WBC world title here. The best belt in boxing, am I right? So they say, but they don't want to have a rematch with somebody for the best belt in boxing. They're now going to go move up a weight, even though you can't hold a shot at that weight. You're going to move up a weight, which is even dangerouser because the bigger punches at that weight. And only one person's got the belts, Katie Taylor. So to win a world title in that division, they're obviously going to go after Katie Taylor, aren't they? They're going to try and sell it to us as, you know, a teacher against a pupil and all this fucking Eddie Hearn fucking scripted wrestling shit in WWE. But I just think that they're making a mistake not going after this Boom Gardner, because what happened to devising a game plan to win? What happened to that? Whatever happened to that? It's gone out the window, hasn't it? It's the circus. Look, what tails wagging dog, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? What's going on here? Fucking WBC belt, and you've got a contract to rematch for it, and you're not doing it. Come on. You know, is somebody pissed on my leg? I'm fucking wet through here.
I don't actually blame Terry for this, to be honest. A lot of that, I don't actually
she's
blame.
a nice kid, isn't she? She's not having
No.
anything to do with it. It's the Ginger Whinger that's controlling the strings. He's seen what happened and he's gotten his shit frightened, isn't he? Look, her style's on back foot. She's a runner, isn't she? Like Steffi Bulwer. There's nothing wrong with that. At least they're getting it ring, aren't they? But don't tell me it's best belt in boxing, then lose by knockout and then move up a weight. Get back in, and if you lose, then you move up a weight. Go get your other bite at cherry. Come on.
I think you're right.
Makes me angry, mate. We're being dicked about. Whatever they say one day, it don't mean nothing, because it can all be turned on his head if they get the lights put out. Shit chatters, mate. Shit chatters.
And again, I don't blame her. And I remember after the Boom Gardner knockout, he went on and put a tweet out of her saying like bad language. I've never heard Terry Harper say bad language or anything.
She wouldn't do anything like that.
Nope.
She wouldn't do nothing like, listen, mate. It's Ginger Man, innit? Gingerbread Man. He's gone round in circles with all his aliases and all his pretending to be people and this and that. He's done his own heading. That's what he's done. He'll end up in a nut house, isn't mate? Steffi, you'll end up in a nut house talking to you then in Rampton. Right, that's it, Ken, for today. It's 20 to 10. We've had over an hour. You've been a great guest as usual in your crop top. What hat you got on, Ken?
I've got my Porky's hat on now.
Go on, lad. Do you wear that down your local? Hey?
I don't drink, Russell. I don't drink. So no, don't drink.
Well, maybe if you start sinking a few in local pub, Ken, you might pull.
Russell, do you know what? I even get drunk drinking non-alcoholic beer, never mind proper beer.
Do you, Ken?
So
get me some more. I can drive all day on it.
Honestly, I remember I was out there at the start of September after a football match with some of my friends, and I says, get me a non-alcoholic beer. And actually there was no non-alcoholic beer, and had a beer, and after about 10 minutes I was actually talking like a washing machine. It was like, nah, there's no, I can't hold alcohol, so I don't, I just leave it. Just leave it.
Okie dokie then. Well, listen, I've got Terry on shortly. It's just gone 20 to 10. I've got Terry on coming on at 11, and I'm going to try and find Ethan.
Laying hands on people.
What?
Harry, laying hands on people.
I can't hear you, mate.
Harry, laying hands on people.
Terry laying hands on people. Yeah, Terry Chaplin down. I've got Terry coming on. I'm going to Dewsbury tomorrow to film at Julian McGowan's house. I'm going to have a chat with Julian. He's got a bit of news regarding Gary Sykes. And I've got Rico back Saturday. So all these will be up Saturday, Sunday, pardon?
The Flying Finn.
The Flying Finn. Rico's good at everything here. Skiing, typing. Rico's a brain box, isn't he, Rico?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a lovable rogue. Right, listen, you have a great day, Kent. What you got planned for today?
Just have dog walking duties to do now, so go for a walk with my dog, and I'm gonna do a run later on. So that's my day.
All right, well, listen, you have a great day, Kent, and all the best to you and your family.
Take care, Russell.
Want to give a big shout out to Richard?
Richard, yes. Richard got me Richard got me in the mood for Christmas there to watch. Went on a rampage of strongman archives. So
What's
yeah,
you
Richard.
got?
Well, Britain's Strongest Man archive. So I was watching all the old Britain's Strongest Men from the 90s right up. So I was just watching one every night over Christmas and World's Strongest Man and stuff. And I know Richard competed at
Yeah, he did,
strongman.
yeah.
So and he sent me a couple of photos over, and Richard was 24 stone at one stage.
A friend of
24
mine were in a pub. What? Yeah, he was 24 at one point. Richard, yeah.
stone.
A friend of mine were once in this pub, and Jeff Capes came in, and it was Jeff Capes was local, and Jeff Capes, after a few pints, he got out of this like Shackleton ice seat chair and crushed it into like dust, and ripped a couple of yellow pages up. Big Capesy. But this is true, like, and people were saying to me, mate, yeah, you see Capesy over there? Yeah, he looked like that when he was 13. He were about 40 at the time. I thought it was quite funny, actually. But he used to be the strongest man, didn't he, Jeff Capes? He used to bend bars round his head and drag wagons down the street, didn't he?
Unbelievable. Like, and people forget that Jeff Capes was actually an Olympic athlete as well as a two-time world's strongest man. So
Shot put the one at Olympics.
Yeah, I think he was actually Commonwealth Games
Champion
as well. So he did come from that athletic background. But Richard was saying at that time, when he was 24 stone, he was gym strong. Like, he was out lifting guys in the gym, but converting that to strongman, those guys were using, the strongman apparatus. So he was kind of just gym strong at the time. But yeah, that's amazing in itself to even compete at that there. Which is, I just hope right now he isn't sitting in his living room bending bars around his head.
Richard, if you're bending any bars, you need to get out more. All right then. Well, listen, you take care, Kent. All the best.
Take care.
Peace out.